How could you marry an Arab? You'll get killed.
So you consider yourself 50-50 or 60-40 or 30-70?
My mother is the one who taught me Arabic.
They are behaving and dressing this way because their mothers are expatriates.
Every country has bad and good people.
I want to marry someone from a different nationality because I want my kids to be pretty because of the genes.
Those with pure DNA. Tell me, what is pure DNA?
Even if you marry someone from your own country, it might also fail.
Why should your nationality matter? Why should your color matter?
You don't choose your parents. We end up mixing between what is cultural and what is religious. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. My dear brothers and sisters, welcome to Dome Podcast. And I'm your host, Hatim Abdissalaam. And today, I'm very happy. I have an honorable guest, my dear brother, Talal bin Barak Shahry. Assalamu alaikum, Talal.
Alaikum assalam.
How are you today?
I'm very good. Happy to be here with you.
And for those who don't know Talal, you can hear his voice every morning from 7, right? 7 to 10 on Jump Starts. He's the director of specialized channels at the Ministry of Information. Welcome to Dome Podcast, Talal.
Thank you very much. I'm very happy to be here.
The first time I met you, Talal, you spoke to me in English. And I thought you didn't speak a single word of Arabic. And then you started speaking Arabic. And I was like so confused. Didn't know how do you reach to a level where your Arabic is so good. And if anyone hears you speaking in Arabic, especially the local Arabic, they would doubt that you speak a single word of English. Because you're half Omani and half Canadian.
That's true.
And today we want to talk about intercultural marriage. So Talal, tell me, how has it been?
It's been an experience growing up. You're never fully of one place.
Yes.
But there's a beauty to it, in my own eyes, that I see, giving you a balanced view on life, understanding both sides.
So you consider yourself 50-50 or 60-40 or 30-70?
I consider myself Omani.
Yes.
My mother, who's Canadian, considers herself Omani as well.
MashaAllah.
And I've never wanted to live anywhere else. I've never wanted to be part of any other community. And although some may look at me and think that this person doesn't fully belong, I do belong, and so does she. And the society around us who know us accept us very well.
Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah. And it's an incredible country to live in and to grow up in and to be raised in. My mother is the one who taught me Arabic.
MashaAllah.
Yes, she used to make me read the classics, Huckleberry Finn and Tom Sawyer and all those in Arabic.
Subhanallah.
Yeah.
You know, it's funny. When I was still in school, my parents insisted that I go for English classes in an institute. And when I went the first day, it was like a local institute that, you didn't even have native speakers in that institute. They registered us and we went for class. And the first day I was in class, there was a young boy in our class who had a very Western name, but he was an Omani, and he had blue eyes and blonde hair, and he was there to learn English. So I was curious because his looks were deceiving. He looked very European, but he spoke, the proper Omani Arabic, the quh. And then I said, tell me more about yourself. He said, well, my dad is an Omani and my mom is an American. And I said, what are you doing in this class? He said, I came to learn English. I said, but your mom is an American. He said, well, I can't speak English because we only speak Arabic in the house. So that was a strange experience that I had in my childhood. But talking about that, I've come across a tweet recently from one of the neighboring countries. There was an issue where a video went across and it represented a few women. They were very much westernized, and the claim from the people who were very upset because of that, they said that they are behaving and dressing this way because their mothers are expatriates. are not local. And this intrigued my curiosity, because the idea of intercultural marriage is across the board, everywhere, even in Oman. And recently there was a statistics. I'm not so sure how far is the statistics true, because I read it on Instagram. It was saying that more than 60 women, Omani women in Oman, got married to expatriates in 2022. Now, coming to this, what do you think of the whole idea about, intercultural marriage?
Okay. Well,
I know it's a long question.
You can call me biased here. But one thing that I think puts it simply is there's no culture on earth that has only good people. And there's no culture on earth that has only good morals. Every culture, every country, every small community, every neighborhood has people who act in different ways. We can't just say that someone, because their mother is from outside the country, that immediately means this person will hold on to certain values that are prevalent in the country she comes from.
Or their dad.
Or their dad, exactly. Yeah. And so when that happens, it's all about generalizing. Not if we look at any country in the world. Okay, let's just say Greenland, which has very few people. Greenland as an example. Even a country with so few people, there are so many different ways of thinking. There are so many different communities within such a country. And you can't just say, oh, this person comes from Greenland, he must be like this. It's the same person comes from America. Oh, this person comes from America, they must act like this. These are all stereotypes. These are generalizations. And for us to think that just because someone is raised by a mother or father from outside the country, that does not mean that it's a negative thing. It's just different.
Or they're less national.
Yes. We get that often. People, who would see a child of intercultural marriage, the people of one side will say, oh, he's from the other side. The people of the other side say, oh, you're from that side. So they never fit in either cultures, and that is an issue that many
one of the things, Talal, people don't seem to understand is that you don't choose your parents.
True.
You don't choose where you're born. You don't choose how you were born, or where or when. All of these things are up to the Creator.
But they choose each other.
But they choose
with
each
the help
other.
Of the Creator.
Yeah, yeah. Now, there are so many reasons why people get married to expatriates or people from different nationalities. But somehow you sit with young men and women and you hear reasons for marrying someone from a different nationality, which to me personally, and I might be wrong, I don't see them as valid reasons. So for example, they say, I want to marry someone who is expatriate because it's cheaper. I want to marry someone from a different nationality because I want my kids to be pretty because of the genes. I want to marry someone from this particular nationality because they know how to take care of their spouse, and so on. And some of them, of course, get married because of love. What do you think is the justifiable or proper way of approaching this, Talal?
I don't think that we should choose a nationality before we find the person. I think that if God creates the right pathway, someone will come across your life and they could be very suitable for you. I don't think that the first thing to look at is their nationality. You look at how they act, you look at their ethics, you look at them from a religious aspect, you look at them as how they could be a parent for your children. Just because fate threw you two together with Allah creating that path does not mean that, oh, they're from outside this country, they're an immediate no. If they fit in with how you want, or how that would make life best for you and your children, that is acceptable by society, acceptable by your family, etc., then nationality shouldn't really be the issue there, in my own opinion. As for this idea of, I will marry outside because it's cheaper,
you hear that a lot.
Yes.
Especially recently it was
joke.
raised again
Yeah.
because it's quite expensive to get married in the Middle East.
It's true.
So the solution, the easiest way out is, I just get someone from somewhere else.
Yeah, these are many threats that most people will not actually act on. They'll joke about it and they'll say, oh, look, I will marry a beautiful Eastern European woman, and what do I have here to look at? It's not the right way at all to go by it. There are people who ask for very large dowries, and it is hard, especially in a time where many people are jobless. They've lost their jobs or they're trying to find jobs. But there are so many people out there who know that and who are offering regular dowries and who are not, it's not all about the expenses anymore. If anything, COVID has taught us that. So this idea of, I'm just going to marry a person because it's cheaper, it's not the right way to go by it, in my own opinion. If you're looking to marry someone because, oh, they are whiter or they are more beautiful, or this also, I feel like it has to really depend on the person, because as mentioned earlier, every country has bad and good people. Every community has bad and good people. I can't just pick a nationality as if I twirl the map and I put my finger down like, oh, I'm marrying a Lithuanian. You know, that's not how it's going to work. And I can't just find any Lithuanian and be like, now you will be my wife. You know, but I think people should definitely let Allah lead them in the right way. You know, we never understand what God has in store for us. And things, I believe, honestly, this is my true belief, I always feel like things will work out. If something bad happens, it will happen. And then keep strong, keep your faith strong. You'll move on to the next thing and something good will happen. And I feel that people should do the same with marriage. Just because it doesn't work out for you the first time doesn't mean that there won't be a second chance or a third chance. And the third chance might be the one that was right for you.
And the idea of generalizing is the thing, Talal, is sometimes if let's say, for example, a couple, they were married, it didn't work out because the cultural differences. So someone else who wants to get married to that particular nationality, he's gonna base his judgment on that nationality because of the failure of his friend. But it doesn't work that way, because even if you marry someone from your own country, it might also fail. And this is what the statistics are saying now. The rate of divorce in Oman has increased. And this is between Omanis. It's not between any other nationalities. So I think putting everybody in the same pot doesn't work out. Now, a lot of people might get themselves into these type of marriages not knowing the challenges, or not finding about the challenges and obstacles, and the like the difference in culture, the language barrier, family ties, traditions, even the way of thinking. I give an example. I have a friend who has a wife who is European, and before getting married, the Eastern community, he always goes to his mother's house after work. So he goes and have tea with his mother and then goes back home. So when he got married to this European woman, it became a strange thing that he has to go there every single day. So she used to ask him, why can't you see your mother once a week? Why does it have to be every day or twice a week? Because she's coming from a different background, yeah? So friction started, happening between them because of this. Because there's a cultural barrier, and maybe he did not take the time to explain properly the importance of this element. What do you think of that, Talal? And have you come across such challenges, whether it's with your friends or relatives?
Well, in regards to that exact story, I think that there are ways of communication. Communication is everything, really. If you're a community that's so strong on familial bonds, which is a good thing, positivity, there are very few people in the world who will say no, being around family is bad, unless their family is really bad. There should have been better communication in that exact situation, and her expectations should have been different. You're already marrying someone from another culture. And the same goes for him. you should be more open, but there are certain ways where you shouldn't budge. If they're fully positive, there's nothing that's going to affect your partner, then I think that...
sometimes, Talal,
Yes.
sorry to cut you off, sometimes we don't really take the time to discuss these things before marriage. Because we only look at the beauty, we look at the family and the wow wedding.
Yes.
But when it comes to the details, because you're gonna spend the rest of your life with this person,
Yeah.
so at least share your thoughts with this person. Discuss these issues.
They may not have thought of it though at the time. That's another issue. People also change as they grow. People change as the longer the marriage is. So it would be a good idea, yes, to communicate and to get this all out during marriage, before marriage. But at the same time, there will always be unseen bits.
But you realize that the most important things in life we don't ask about. So, for example, if I decide to go for a holiday, I'll ask about the rate, the hotels, the transport, the food, and I get all the details. But something as important as marriage, why can't I ask more? Ask people who are experienced. Ask your parents. Ask your relatives. Ask people in your age who are married about this institution that you're getting yourself into before you get into this golden cage and then oops. What did I do? I'm in the wrong place. I don't fit with this person. Sometimes you hear people, going for honeymoon, and when they come back in the same plane, but they're sitting in different seats. They're no longer with one another.
Well, this question is going to sound bad, but I have an explanation afterwards.
Yes.
How bad is divorce really? I come from a community where if a husband and a wife decide that they won't fit in when they first get married, if they haven't had children yet, divorce is very common and it's normal. Like, it didn't work out for them, so they can split and easily get remarried. But at the moment children come in, at that point they're like, this won't work. If we look at it Islamically, it's harder for a man and a woman to communicate and get through all this before they get married, unless they've done the official milkah.
Yes.
At least they're Islamically married, but they haven't become together yet or come together to live in a house yet.
Yes.
So that could, what are your thoughts on that? What would be the best way for them to go through these changes?
There is nothing wrong with divorce as a ruling, yeah? But there is a problem of how divorce happens, meaning the outcome of that. So people go to court, people show animosity towards one another, they fight for custody of kids, the two families, they don't speak to one another, because at the end of the day, not everyone who gets divorced is an evil person. And there is a very interesting story.
Again, but sorry to cut in. Generalizing. Not all divorces are like that.
Not all divorces are like that. There's an interesting story at the time of Prophet ﷺ where a woman wanted to get divorced from her husband. And the Prophet asked her, why do you want to get divorced? And look at the wisdom of this woman. She said, he is the best person if I'm not with him. So she did not lay out the cards of the shortfalls, the bad things, or the incompatibility between the two of them. But she said, he's a very good person, just if I'm not with him. So I would rather be, in a different relationship with a different person. So, yes, people do get divorced, but you have also in some societies, Talal, even here in Oman, I know a certain society where it's a taboo for a woman who is divorced. She will never get married again. And people look at them, the men and the women who are divorced, like something must be wrong with them. That's why they got divorced. I don't know, man.
That is a lovely story, first off. I really enjoyed it. That was very well said by that woman. And
Yeah, I think because if we have our differences, it doesn't have to be spread and everybody know to talk about it, the differences that we have as a couple. And at the same time, if we feel that the safest exit or the best thing for both of us is to be in separate lives, then that's why Allah gave us that exit.
Yeah. Again, these are all things that could be changed within communities. Every community has their own culture, has their own subcultures, have their own way of doing things. And if anything we've learned in this world right now, as funny enough, our cultures are coming to collide in a way, and we are actually in contact more and more with other communities, even other Arab communities, other Omani communities, other Muslim communities, and we're more in contact with thinkers and scholars, and we are starting to understand a more balanced version of what is good, what is bad, what is this Islamic practice, what is that, because there's so many different things for many years of communities that were closed off from the rest, so they react differently. But I think as generation after generation comes, there will be more of a joint identity. And with all the intercultural communication that is happening in intercultural marriage now, that will also see more and more coming in from different areas. Right now we see a lot of Western ideas going around because, of course, a lot of the media is Western. Movies are from the West. TV shows are from the West. And even if we look at the ones closer to ours, like the ones that are being made in other Arab countries or in Turkey, etc., they've also learned their bits from the West. So in essence, it's just the West 2 steps over and then towards us. And but soon enough, inshallah, bit by bit we're already seeing our culture as well start to expand, more people starting to actually know about us as more than just people living in tents in the desert and more than just sand. People are complaining about how we are accepting to marry foreigners, when at the same time foreigners are saying the same about us. How could you marry an Arab? You'll get killed. They'll force you they'll chain you up in the kitchen. You will never be allowed to leave. That's exactly the same thing that's happening back and forth. But again, I go back to the very original point. Every person is different. If God's put you in my path and everything seems okay, why should I care what nationality you are? Why should I care what color you are? Why should I care what background you are? Now, of course, in Islam, we're only allowed to marry within Muslims and within those who are Ahl al-Kitab, so Christians and Jews. And so that as itself is a law on its own that we can't break. But if you fall within those 3 things, and you would be a very good choice for a partner, for a spouse, why should your nationality matter? Why should your color matter? Why should your community matter? If she's from he are from a good family, if the family is good, if they are good, if their values suit yours, if you both have the same aligned goals, what does it really matter what passport we have or what level of tan we are?
We're going to talk about the level of tan, inshallah, after a short break.
Okay.
Dear brothers and sisters, welcome back to Dome Podcast with our honorable guest, Talal bin Barak al-Shahry. Welcome back, Talal.
Thank you very much.
Talal, for those who make the decision or take the decision to get married to someone from a different nationality or different race, and the family doesn't support, and then they take the decision, they take the step anyways, they become an outcast. Where people are not given the opportunity to try something. Because at the end of the day, it's your life. Yes, 2 families are being joined, but it's your life and it's your decision. And at least if you don't have a justifiable reason why not to marry this person, you should be given a chance. So, for example, they would say, okay, she's not from the same nationality. Okay, you would say that, okay, she's not from the same nationality, but I like her. She's from the same faith, and we have so much things in common, and so on. why should it end up that you would be outcast, by your community, by your society? I don't know if you came across something like that with your friends or
Yes, I
or
have
someone
seen
you
it.
know.
Yeah.
But it does happen, and I'm not talking about the Omani society only. I'm talking about any society.
Yes. In general, again, most societies have to deal with the same exact issues that we have to deal with. It is hard to be ostracized by your own society. If I were to look at it from the point of view of a Muslim, I would say I would just use Islam, Quran, Hadith, to kill every single
Argument.
argument that they have.
Yeah.
There's no difference between an Arab and a foreigner, but by the piety in their heart, and there's no difference between a white man and a black man. The same. So there is one. You just say that is our deen. You say, okay, they're a foreigner. I'm sorry, but your mother is a foreigner.
Now the interesting part
Yeah.
is if we go back to history
Yeah.
and we see Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam, his wife Hajar, she was from Egypt. And then also the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Prophet Muhammad.
That's why I said your mother is a foreigner.
Yeah, one of his wives was a Jew, the other one was, a Coptic from Egypt and so on.
And was a former slave.
Yeah.
So we have that. That's why. And what do we call these women? The mothers of mu'mineen, of
the
believers.
Yeah.
So we are the believers. They are our mothers.
The thing about this, Talal, we end up mixing between what is cultural and what is religious. The culture and the religion is so blended into one another, it becomes so difficult to distinguish what is religious and what is cultural. And most of the time, people claim that something that is purely cultural, throw it onto religion, while it's not.
That's the easiest thing for people to do, unfortunately. The moment people bring in faith, belief, it's like you can't argue it. If I say, no, I will pick the part of Quran or Hadith that works with my narrative, give it my own narrative, and just mention that. Just because I said that, they're like, oh, well, there's nothing we can say now. And only someone with an in-depth knowledge of religion can retort to that. But most people generally will just go with the flow, they will listen, they're like, okay, this person said this and this. And one of the things that they always bring back to is al-arq.
Yes.
It's a very vague notion. Arq means, in essence, your origins. Those
Your DNA.
Your DNA. Those with pure DNA. Tell me, what is pure DNA? I have yet to find an actual thing in Islam that told us who are the ones with purity in them and who are the bad ones. All I know is there's no difference between a white man and a black man, an Arab and a foreigner.
And we all came from Adam and Eve.
And we all came from the same mother and father. I would love to understand who these people are who think that they are the pure race.
Talal, I know you very well. We're very close. And I know that you cope very well in the Omani society, and you would definitely cope very well with your family in Canada. Yeah? What did your parents do to mold you to become adaptable to any environment that you'd be in? Today, if someone sees you in Oman, he has no doubt that you are more Omani than me. And if you go to Canada,
they'll think I'm Mexican.
They think, not Egyptian.
Mexican. They don't have too many Egyptians
Hola.
over there. They've spoken to me in Spanish so many times. Hey, ¿cómo está? Hey.
But I'm sure you visited your family
Yes.
in Canada so many times. You blend with them. Everything's okay. So your parents must have raised you in a certain way where you fit everywhere. You don't have to take sides. So what did they do?
Well, my mother, who is the foreigner in this equation, she made sure that I was always part of the community. She made sure that I played out in the neighborhood. She made sure I read Arabic. She made sure I went to a government school or a school that was all in Arabic, and that I had to be around these people.
Oh, by the way, how was your experience in government school? Enjoyed it?
No, not really.
Were you bullied?
I was in many fights.
Yeah, that's good for you.
46 to date.
MashaAllah.
The last one was in 2009, I want to say.
MashaAllah.
Good times. But many of the reasons they used to fight.
You were the bully, or you were bullying?
No, many people wanted to fight me because I was not full Omani.
Okay, so they knew your background.
Yes, they knew my background, and they would call me, whenever they wanted to insult me, they would just be like, "Oh, you son of an infidel." Meanwhile, I knew, thing is, I never had an issue with it because I knew my mother was more a conservative Muslim than probably most of their families.
I didn't know kids could be that mean, man.
My mother converted to Islam a very long time ago because she wanted to convert to Islam. It wasn't one where people sometimes get married and they're like, okay, I will become a Muslim so we can get married and make it easier.
Yeah.
She chose Islam, which means because she wasn't born and raised with it, she did her research and she chose it. It's a different form of Islam almost.
I actually met your mother, and I think she is more knowledgeable than me. She has so much knowledge. She's reading a lot, and she's very devoted, even more than the Muslims who were born Muslims themselves.
I would think more than the Muslims who were born Muslim. Yes, I would have my doubts, but yes, she read so much. She taught me everything about Islam. She taught me how to pray. She made sure I went to the mosque to learn Quran. She made sure she would sit with me and make me read all the surahs to her.
And then you end up like this.
I know. Yes, but it was her constant effort to be herself around me.
Yes.
Keep me involved with my Canadian family, who are all Christian.
Yes.
And at the same time, make sure that she never made me judge that side or this side. But she knew I am Omani, I am Muslim. So she raised me as a Muslim Omani. But one who is accepting of others, of other cultures, of being around people who are not of your religion or not of your color, not of your community.
Talal, I'm going to ask you tricky questions.
Please.
Was there a certain time where you felt a little bit confused between the two cultures? When you go there to your other family and then you come back to Oman, or were things, smooth? The reason why I'm asking you this is that I do have relatives who also come from a similar background as yours, but the kids were raised in a certain way that the choice is theirs. So both parents had different faiths, different nationalities. They would see their dad going to pray in the mosque, and they would see their mom going to church. And in their house you would find a picture of Ayat al-Kursi, and you also find a cross. So they would celebrate Eid, and they would also celebrate Christmas and Easter. And they do have a Muslim name, and then when they go to their other family, they have a different name. So they ended up growing up very confused, because now they were like wearing two hats. They had two identities. I don't know if you experienced such a thing with other people, with your friends or so on, or you heard something like this, but it does happen. And that's why am I mentioning this? It's very, very important that both parents are on the same page and to talk about how they're going to raise their kids, because it's a responsibility.
I would definitely agree on that.
Yeah.
That is definitely one of the first things, as you mentioned earlier, what people need to get across before they get married, how to raise your kids. Agree on it in advance. Usually, that's the easy thing about being in a community, the same community. You don't really have to have that conversation because you both have the same goals. You both go in the same way that everyone else around you is going in.
Yeah.
Very rarely will that change. But if you're marrying outside, they have a different way of doing things. Thus, yes, that is a very important thing that they agree on, in my own opinion. And I think most people's opinions, it's important for them to really hash it out and realize, wait, you won't budge on this? Well, I won't budge on it either. They need to find out where the difference is before it becomes too late. The moment the children are already there and then you start fighting, that will have a very negative reflection onto your children, and it will create many chasms within your marriage and within your family and within the people around you, to the point where it would have been like, why did we get married at all? Why did we waste so many years? And now we're hurting our own family, our own children over this. And that confusion, it's not just confusion. It causes identity crises. It causes psychological issues. There's a lot. For me, I was lucky enough that my mom made it very clear to me that I was Omani, I was Arab, but those are my cousins, those are my family in Canada. You love them, you respect them. They used to take me to show me their churches. But she made sure, even with them, that they were never to question our beliefs. When we went there, they would not buy pork while we were there. They would only buy halal chicken and beef.
Yes.
They would not drink around us. And they would never in any way criticize our culture or our religion or any of that. And in return, we showed them the same respect. We are family. We are tight. We will speak to each other, love each other, care for each other. We keep a line, though, between our differences, and we put them aside because, end of the day, as long as we're not hurting each other, we should be fine. And the fact is, she made sure that they respected us and made sure that we respected them in return.
Yeah.
And I was very lucky to be in that situation where I didn't have to feel confused. I knew I was Omani. I knew I was Muslim. And I spent all my life here, and I never want to leave. And she saw herself as Omani. And she is actually now she's Omani.
MashaAllah.
She's had the citizenship for a few decades now.
MashaAllah.
But I moved to Muscat recently, and I didn't want to move to Muscat. I wanted to
Come on, man. We love seeing you here.
You do, but my wife misses me. Yeah, so, and my wife, my mother, everyone, they're still in Salalah. And when I was having trouble, I was getting many opportunities here in Muscat. Mm-hmm. And I was turning them down. You know, I was like, my only plan is to go back to Salalah. And I sat down with my mother. I'm like, I need to come back. Khalas, yani. I'm like, but I need to get this done. And this opportunity comes here, and that opportunity comes here. And she's like, Talal, quieten down. Like, I don't want you to be anywhere but right by my side. She's like, but I raised you to do good for Oman.
Yes.
She's like, I hate to see you go, but from day one, my goal for you was you and your sisters to do good things for Oman. So go and do what you can for this country, because this country is so important, and you have to love and do everything you can for this country.
And sometimes we need to sacrifice, for the sake of the bigger benefit, inshallah.
Yeah.
And we love seeing you here as well.
I love seeing you too.
Now, Talal, if a society or community totally refuses the idea of getting married to a different nationality, are they labeled as a racist community? That's a very big word, but
I think everyone's racist to a degree. Everyone has stereotypes. It's the moment I feel it goes too far when you impede someone's life with your racism. When you try to hurt someone with words or fists because of what nationality they're from. But secretly, not even secretly, everyone has prejudices in some way or form. You can always say, oh no, I don't, but they are there. Some people are unknowingly racist. They don't even realize they're being racist. You know, it's indoctrinated from the time you're a kid. Oh, people from this culture are like this. Oh, people from that culture are the worst. Oh, people from that culture smell bad. People from this culture eat weird food. And
so basically, all of us are racist.
In a sense.
In a way, in one way or the other.
In a sense, yes. Children, they say, are not racist. You know, children, when they're very young, they don't care about anything because they don't know anything yet.
Yes.
But everything, at some point, becomes taught to us. You know, I remember, funny enough, because I was the half-white kid, I remember that we used to play a game called Israelis versus the Palestinians, and I would make fake gun sounds, and they would throw rocks at me. But the reason they never let me be the Palestinian because I was half-white, and that hurt.
So you were the Israeli soldier?
Yes, and that hurt because to me at the time, I didn't know anything about the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. I was a child.
Yes.
But all I knew was I hated Israelis because they were the bad people always in this game. So even before I knew Israel or politics or anything, I was already, as a 4-year-old, I 100% knew that Israelis were bad. I'm told about another, like I won't mention any of the other cultures, but I'm told that this culture is like this. So I meet someone, I'm already prepared for their negative attributes. Very rarely do you see people mention another country and what the people are like there without you throwing at least a few negative things in there.
Wait, let's go back a little bit.
What's up?
Did you play the role of the Israeli soldier?
Yes. It's the game. I just have to, it's the game. It's the game. It's what I was trying. Of course, I did face adversity.
Who are your friends, man? Who are you hanging with?
Neighborhood kids and some of my siblings who are full of money. I have 14 brothers and sisters. That also helped. Yeah, it did help in the sense that I had siblings who were fully Omani.
Yes.
So, and they accepted me. I accepted them. Okay. Let me be fully honest for a second. One of my favorite moments in my life, I was 19 years old, and I was sitting with this man named Jacob. He was a teacher. He was teaching in Salalah, and we were very close friends. And he was white. And I used to use racist white jokes against him all the time. Okay.
You used to use the jokes, okay?
We joked a lot.
Yeah.
And one day I just kept making fun of him because he was white. And then he turned to me, he's like, Talal, you realize you're half white too, no? And that was the first time when I was 19 that it really hit me that, wait a second, I'm not just Arab, I'm half white. Like, I always thought Canadian, but I never realized that was part of the people I was making fun of, because I was just making fun of white people. I wasn't making fun of Canadians.
Yes.
And I was blind to my own racism. I was being racist against myself, and I deserved it. But I feel everyone's racist, but the thing is, when you decide, where's the line? That's what makes it hard. I think people should always be open to changing their mind, communication. Talk to people from other cultures. Talk to people from other races. I know amazing Jews. I know amazing Christians. I know amazing atheists. I know amazing Hindus. I also know some terrible Omanis.
Yeah.
And I know terrible people from those regions. And they're everywhere. Everyone acts differently. Yes, there are things that we have in common sometimes. And that's normal. That's because our culture, our community brings us together there. And now the lines are getting more blurry. There's a lot of shared things between us, but I think it just falls back down to treat everyone with respect, and they will treat you back with respect as well.
We'll come back to
until they mess up. Then you bring this.
Let's go for a short break, inshallah, and continue the last bit of the show, inshallah. Okay. Dear brothers and sisters, welcome back to Dome Podcast with me, your host Hatim and Abdissalaam, and our wonderful, honorable guest, Talal Shahry. Welcome back, Talal.
Thank you. Far from wonderful or honorable. Far from it.
Talal, I understand during the break you had a story, an interesting story to share. Tell us about it.
Well, earlier you were talking to me about, different cultures, different religions, how some just don't fit in with each other sometimes. And I know of someone, the father was Muslim, the mother was not. At the time, she was more accepting of the father being Muslim and tried to fall in under those traditions. The mother ended up, though, being unhappy, and she moved away. And of course, children being in between, every time each parent was trying to pit the children against the other ones. So when I remember that one of the children went over to the States, and they said they were taken to church, come look at my church, see what it is. And then this is from his own lips. He's like, and then the Holy Ghost entered the priest Talal. And I was like, what? And he spoke to me in Arabic, Talal. I think there might be something. I think maybe it's true. Maybe we're the wrong ones. The Holy Spirit spoke to me, Talal. And I was like, what did it say? And he was like, in Arabic, he said, Al-Islamu laysa haqq, Al-Islam laysa haqq. And I was like, did the Holy Spirit have an American accent by any chance? I was like, excuse me? Like, did it have an American accent? did it say haq or haq?
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, it has an American accent. Why? I'm like, that's just the priest learning a few words of Arabic to convince you to change. And he was still unconvinced. He was like, no, the Holy Ghost definitely talked to him. But where parents will go so far as to, that's when a marriage breaks up, that where they did not meet face to face, they did not agree on the goals, and it leads to moments like these.
Yeah, indeed.
Yeah.
And I think most of the time the kids become the victims because they're caught up between the two,
Yes.
especially if the parents are very different.
It makes it harder, definitely, when the parents are very different. But the same could happen within a community that are the same, where the parents will fight over the children and will have different values.
Now, through interaction with some of my Western friends, they always tell me that we, the West, are more acceptable to the idea of intercultural marriage than you as Muslims, because they say you have these strings that you cannot pull, like the faith and so on. Like you can only marry from the people of the book, and most probably you would choose someone from a different nationality but from the same faith, and so on. So does that make us the bad guys, that we are not accepting the intermarriage? Because to them it doesn't make a difference. You can, if you love someone, then it doesn't matter what background they come from.
Yes. First of all, I have no authority to say whether we are the bad guys for this exact. I'm like, yes, or this is wrong. We need to be open to everyone. It's not my rule to make.
Yes.
And at the same time, it's not my rule to break.
Yes.
Everyone's belief has certain lines that go across it. And I will never disrespect someone if they're not of the book. If they're atheist, Hindu, Buddhist, I will never just go for them and be like, I will not speak to you, I will not be your friend, I will not do this, I will treat everyone with respect. And when it comes to marriage, it's kind of like, it's already in my head because it's a religious rule. And for me to follow my religion, I have to follow its rules.
It's a priority.
Yes, as long as I'm not hurting anyone, then it's the religion of peace. As long as I'm not hurting those who are not trying to hurt me, then yes, I will follow the teachings.
You know, the main problem in the world today, Talal, is trying to put everybody in the same pot. Yeah, because some things that might be okay or normal in a certain culture might be totally offensive in the other culture. So Allah Almighty created us all different. Even with your siblings, Talal. Tell me, honestly, are you the same with your siblings? Every one of you is different. You do have the same two parents, but you are very different from your siblings. So we can't expect even societies and communities to be a carbon copy of another society or another community. Each society, community, they would have their own criteria, they would have their own regulation, they would have their own faith that is important to them, that they are following,
and I agree.
And so on.
But I don't think we should shun other societies. I agree with you that everyone will always have, even if we have more things in common as time moves on, every neighborhood has its own personality, and that's going to be the same for every community. We may agree on more things now, or we have certain aspects that we share, but nonetheless, there will always be differences. But again, إِنَّمَا خَلَقْنَاكُمْ شُعُوبًا وَقَبَائِلَ لِتَعَارَفُوا. We have created you as tribes and nations so that you may know each other and get to know each other. And so yes, I would follow the religious rules that I'm under. I will accept my diversity happily. I will never shut myself off from the rest of the world, and I will be proud with my identity and my culture. And I hope that, just, you said it yourself, we're all different, and everyone's trying to force us to be the same, but there's no laws out there that everyone shares except do not kill, do not lie, do not steal, that pretty much we are all universally agreed on. Those are the three basic ones.
Talal, both of us are in the media area, and we play a vital role in trying
Fake
to...
news?
Hmm?
Fake news?
Fake news. We play a vital role in educating others, especially the youth, on certain values that are important to us, like respecting one another and so on. In your field, Talal, how can we educate the younger generation, especially with the issue that we're talking about, intercultural marriage? What would you like to say to them?
Well, to these children or to the new generation, I think, honestly speaking, I think they're learning very quickly. And media is not consumed in the same way that it was. I can do my part. But if anything, I think that we need to just go back again. Basic. Treat others as you wish to be treated. If you want people to respect you and your culture, respect them and theirs. But don't change yourself so that people will like you more.
Yes.
There will be times where you could, where you might find yourself in life getting very close to someone from another culture. There's nothing wrong with them having that culture. There's nothing wrong with you having that culture. If you come to an understanding, that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that either. But we should know not to step on our own identity for the sake of others. We should always be proud of what we have. And again, as long as we are not hurting anyone with our words or physically, then continue moving on proudly. And if you will find love or a suitable spouse, does not always have to be love.
Yes.
Many people, that's the word of this age, but it does not have to always be love. If you find someone who is suitable from another nationality,
the thing is,
when you grow up, kids,
the thing is with love, a little bit of hormones spike, then they translate it as love, because attraction is not necessarily love.
Far from it.
Yeah, love is when you cherish a person, you respect them, you live with them for the next 40 years, and you marry one another. That's true love. Love.
I truly love you. I don't think I will marry you, though. I feel those sentiments towards you. And love grows. I'm a firm believer in the fact that if you work together as people when it comes to your values and morals in advance that you know of, I think love will grow from there, because you're now going to be with each other. You have the same ideas, you have the same goals for your lives, and you have the same values to walk alongside each other. Love will only naturally grow in that place.
Indeed.
Yes.
Talal bin Barak Shahry, thank you very much for being with us on the show.
It's a pleasure.
And I hope it's not the last time we see you.
I hope so as well. It's a real honor to be asked to come here by you. Always a big admirer and a big fan of your shows and everything you put out there. So I hope that this wasn't too general, because it is a big topic. But
well, we try and simplify it as possible, so that
there you go.
People get what we're saying.
Yes.
Take care of yourself, man.
You too.
See you soon, dear brothers and sisters. Thank you very much for watching and listening Dome Podcast. See you next time. I'm your host, Hatim. Abdissalaam. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Dome Podcast. Under one roof.